Well, listen, it must be noon. Well, it is noon and it's Thursday. So obviously this is Coffee with Ralph and I'm Ralph Gale. I'm your host. Um, Listen, today on Coffee with Ralph, I'm going to take this a little different slant, but let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in this industry probably longer than a lot of people that I know have been alive. Um, been in and around this thing called long-term care my whole life, in essence. I told the story once. I think it started actually. I'm absolutely positive it started with my grandma, and mom took care of grandma, and on both sides, and dad and mom then needed taking care of, and so, anyways, yeah, I've been around this forever and ever and ever, and it seems to me like each and every time that I get involved, there's a lot of questions about the simple things. And so, I next few weeks I'm going to go through the four areas that I think are probably the most important. Um, and by the way, finance isn't the most important. How do I pay for it is not the most important subject here, but it is important, but it's not the most important. So I'm going to start with telling you that coffeewithralph.com is a free 15-minute call with me to discuss anything retirement related. Every morning I start my day the same way. I have for, I was thinking about this, probably 18 and 20 years now. I spend some time in the Word. And right after that, I take care of the animals, which is right after I shower, right after I shave, and I get dressed. It sounds pretty simple. Actually, I've got that wrong. I shower, shave, then I take care of the animals. No, let me think about that. There we go. See, already there's an issue. Why am I telling you that? Well, on this episode, we're going to do just exactly that. We're going to look at my morning. And why are we going to look at what I do every morning? First off, I got to tell you, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I was told that if we don't face the uncomfortable and work through the uncomfortable, we never grow. And that is a true statement. I was told that probably 100 years ago, it seems. But there's no obligation or cost that call with me. Ask me whatever it is. I hope you start this conversation about long-term care with me. September is, by the way, Life Insurance Awareness Month. But one day I'm going to need somebody's help fulfilling my morning routine and every other personal daily requirement. But besides myself, I don't think anybody really knows what my morning routine looks like. And then the question becomes, who should know? Or at least have access to something in writing to tell them what I expect. I mean, well, after all, it said we're a creature of habit, and trying to figure out the habits of Belle. She's a 4-year-old lab we rehomed. Tells me a lot about how confused my caregiver would be without some kind of direction. Not only is it hard for me to figure out her habits, she's having time still trying to adjust our home's activity level and our routines. So I can only imagine how hard it's going to be for those who step into their parents to help out their parents as they age, especially as their memory slips and they become more physically dependent. So let's talk about the uncomfortable for a minute. Like I said, we don't grow unless we dive into the uncomfortable and we step into it and step through it. And yeah, it's pretty doggone uncomfortable thinking about my morning routine and diving into that as a case study. Well, let's look at it this way. It's whether it was my childhood or just whatever. I was never in the military, but I think I refer to the military's 3 S's every morning. And then you shower and you shave. Who's going to help me with that at 6 o'clock in the morning? By the way, how do I like to shave? When do I shower? Do I shower before or after I shave? Well, after I've done all that and I've gotten dressed, oh, by the way, who's going to help me with the dressing and what am I going to wear, and all that other stuff needs to be thought about too. Am I real comfortable in, do I want a suit and tie every day, or do I just want t-shirts, or, when do I stop wearing shorts in the summer, and all that stuff goes on and on and on and on, right? It seems. But then let's go through it. After I get that taken care of and I get dressed, then I have to go put the dogs out. That is, unless Belle has told me earlier that she needs to go out like right now. And yep, she's a talker. And she can get really loud when she's really needy. But once I put them out, I put food down for both of them and I take care of Mabel. That's the Siamese that was dumped on her doorstep about 2 years ago. She and Belle haven't become friends yet, so I feed her in the garage, which is where she wants to be fed. And if you don't know that whole story, then that's on YouTube. It's available on YouTube. So I take care of them, or I take care of her, and then I get to come in the house and take care of the other 2 cats. Both were rescued by my girls. One is a special kitty. She's got wobbly kitty disease. Only part of her brain developed in the womb. She's very unsteady on her feet, kind of like a drunken sailor. So I have to take care not to trip over her, or worse yet, step on her. Wow, now I can sit down and read a passage in the Bible and journal on what it means and how it can affect my life. Oh yeah, did I forget my coffee? That goes with the journaling. And all this, and the need to get my daughter to school. So that was in past years, that would have been by 7 o'clock. So between 5:45 and 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, I've done all these other things. Then I get in the car and I drive her to school, except now she drives herself. So I have a little bit more free time. Isn't that nice? But I still get up and make sure she's up and out the door. That's just the first couple hours of the day. From there, what do I do? Have I ever sat down and actually journaled what I do each and every day, or the functions that I have to do? Maybe not on a daily basis, but every other day, or maybe once a week, or whatever. Who gets the cars, maintains the cars, who goes outside, mows the grass, all these other questions that are going to come into play, and nobody really knows the answers except me. What if I can't tell you? Now what? You're going to have to guess? Kind of like it spent 2 years now figuring out Mabel, to find out that she and Belle don't get along. That's the new dog. And now I got to figure out how to make those 2, or help those 2 get along. And then I've got Belle, who I've got to try to figure out. And oh, by the way, did I mention we're married? We've been married for almost 30 years now, and I still can't tell you my wife's absolute morning routine. But I'm sure if I needed to, I'd help her with it. I mean, that's why we're married, right? But then who's going to help us when we need help? And what does that look like? And it's this thing about being uncomfortable that keeps us from doing anything. It paralyzes us. They used to tell people, paralysis by analysis. I'm trying to figure out everything I do every day, and I want to make sure I write down everything that they need to know. And you'll never get it all done unless you start somewhere. And maybe that is starting with the financial end of this planning session, which personally to me is like step number 4. But some people might think it's step number 1. Unfortunately, step number 1 should be, let me figure out what I really want as I get older. You know, I was out the other day and I reflected this on a prior a prior show, but I was talking to a client who's 62 now, and he's a farmer, and he was telling me about how he'd gotten underneath the combine, greased up all those grease zerks, and then got out and went, "Okay, am I getting up now?" You see, he's got a bad hip, so getting up out of the ground, off the ground, not the easiest task in the world. I only mention that because this weekend I was literally on the ground cleaning the underneath of a lawnmower, you know, the mower deck, and trying to figure out what got wrapped up into that. And I'm laying on the concrete. You know, I've got it all done. And I literally thought that same thing. Okay, this is interesting. Now, how am I going to get up from here? Well, my brother-in-law was there. But I couldn't see leaning on him to get up because, well, he's not much younger than I am. So I'm trying to desperately in my mind to figure out how to get up. I finally got a hold of the chain that I had holding the mower up and pulled myself up that way, but it's not easy anymore. Everything's becoming a little bit harder every day. Takes a little bit more time. We were down cutting a tree for an elderly couple that needed a tree cut out of their yard, probably for the firewood. Good answer. It was blowing down last year in the storm. Yeah, I could have went all day, couple, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Down there now, we're down there for a couple hours, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good now. Need to go home. Gotta work on the chainsaw again, which wasn't a fib. It was the truth, but I did have another one there I could have worked with. But instead, you know, it's easier for me to take a break. And so now it's not work, work, work. It's work, take a break. Right? It sounds like I'm rambling. And in some essences, I am. But I need you to ramble. You need to ramble. You need to sit there and just think about your day, write down notes on different things, and then get with me. I'll send you the format. We're working on a document that could be and will be included in a trust and other places so that there's always availability to it if you need help and your family knows exactly where to go to find the answers to these questions. What cereal do you like in the morning? That's a silly one too, isn't it? But hey, listen, there's cereal I don't like, and so I would never eat it. But hey, that's the topic for another day. It's been Coffee with Ralph, and it's been a pleasure talking with you today. I hope you tune in next week. In the meantime, have a blessed week.